today we're dealing with how do you plot a rational number on a number line, and how do you really compare different numbers on a number line. So a rational number is a number that can be written in the form of a fraction. The algebraic way of writing it is just that any number a divided by any number b is a rational number, or any number a divided by any number b, but take the opposite or the negative, that's a rational number. The only thing that doesn't work is if b is a 0, because then you would be dividing by 0. So the easiest way of seeing this is by looking at examples. So here are a few. So here we have 3/4, that's a fraction already, so it's rational. -7/2, that's a fraction again, so it's rational. 1 1/5, if we simplify it, or if we change it into an improper fraction, it's going to be 6/5, so that's now a fraction, it's rational. 0.25, so decimals are rational numbers too, most of them, is 25/100, and so that's a rational number. 3 76/100 is 3 76/100, and that's written as 376/100, so that's a rational number. And then there's a couple of little ones here. 5 can be written as a fraction, because 5 is just 5 divided by 1, because how many times does 1 go into 5? 5 times. Same thing with negative numbers. -2 is just -2/1 as a rational number. Rational numbers can be put on a number line in the appropriate place, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's say we have 2/3 here. Well, 2/3 is going to be between 0 and 1. What we do is we divide the part between 0 and 1 into thirds. Then we'd count over 2 of them, so that's going to be 2/3 right there. Now, -5/2, we have to change that into a mixed number, so it's going to be -2 1/2. And then I'm going to come over here. It's going to be between -2 and -3. It's going to be halfway between. So -5/2 is going to go right there, because it's the same as -2 1/2. Vertical number lines work the same way. We have to adjust these a little bit to make sure that they make sense. So here I'm going to do that now. So here we go. For the -1 25/100, that is going to be simplified to -1 1/4, because 25/100, if we divide the top and the bottom both by 25, you get 1/4. So it's going to be the equivalent is of -1.25 is -1 1/4. So that's going to be between -1 and -2. We're going to divide this into half and then half again. So -1.25 is going to go right there. 7/2 is just going to be 3 1/2, so that's between 3 and 4. It's going to be halfway between, so that's where 7/2 is going to go right there. So an important aspect of rational numbers is you can use a number line to compare them. Any number to the left is always less than a number to the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to locate these different numbers, and then we're going to compare them using the greater than, less than, or equal symbols. So quickly I'm going to change these around a little bit. So what I did there was I just changed 5/4 into 1 1/4, and then we're going to plot it. 1 1/4 is between 1 and 2. I have to divide this up into quarters, so there we go. Now there's 4 positions there, so 1 1/4 is going to go right there, so that's where 5/4 is going to go. Now -2 1/2, that one there is going to be in red here. It's going to be between -2 and -3. It's halfway between, so it's going to be -2 1/2. And the last one here, I had to move around a little bit. -3.5 is going to be the same as -3 5/10. which then simplifies when you divide the top and bottom by 5 to negative 3 1/2. So what I have to do then is I have to go, well, it's halfway between, and then this is going to be negative 3.5. So I now can look which number is the furthest to the left. That's going to be negative 3.5. What number is going to be next? It's going to be negative 2.5. And then what number is to the further to the right? It's going to be 5/4. So again, we're just going from left to right here. So that means that then this number here is greater than this number here, and that number there is greater than that number there. So I can tell the relationship based on that. So here's a real-life situation. At 3 p.m. the temperature is negative 7 degrees. 4 hours later the temperature is negative 10 degrees. Use greater than, less than, or equals sign to compare the two temperatures and explain the relationship. Well, you need to think, is negative 10 less than negative 7? Well, yeah, it is. So negative 10 degrees is going to be less than negative 7. Make sure you're pointing, using this sign here, pointing at the smaller one. So that means negative 7 degrees is greater than negative 10 degrees. And so that means the temperature is going down. That's the relationship. So that's how you can use these in real life situations.